Michelle, how much do people need to see the screen? Like, should people move over here?
I mean, there's no way.
We can't stand it, so we're gonna move on over here.
I think, yeah. You can come right in this area, there's room, you can sit by me.
You got to let me in and give me the depth. You're not gonna be able to see it from here either. You
Yeah, that's fine. I did think of
Yeah.
So I'm gonna keep my audio off. Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah.
That's the Zoom people.
Everyone should be able to hear us on Zoom, we've got the owl going, okay, I just enabled anyone can share, so you should be able to share now.
Yeah, yeah.
We had kind of a hard time with the technology.
That's every time.
This is the, now I'm in stuff.
Well, in the interim, while Gabe's figuring out, how to share. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Tom.
That's better?
Go all the way
All
down.
the way down, yeah.
Sorry.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Better? I had the wrong slideshow up. We got it sorted out.
It's not sharing on Zoom though.
No, I haven't shared it.
Oh,
I didn't get the actual right thing up there. I'm gonna go back to this. That's about as close as we're gonna get.
Okay. All right. Right, so let's just get started. The first 3 slides are mine anyway, so, this is sort of our tagline, our vision statement, one or the other. The balancing sustainable outdoor recreation and conservation of natural resources to serve unique needs of Colorado's southwest corner. So I know that in our first meeting, we had some conversation about, are we going to do some visioning? Are we going to start to build our mission statement and things like that? If we really want to acknowledge the fact that the executive committee has put a lot of work into that over the last, 9 months or more, and we want to value your time, and I want you to understand that we've got a lot of work to do as far as really drilling down into the different elements of a regional plan. And so feel like it's your input and your work is best put towards moving that goalpost forward versus getting stuck on the, what are we here to do? So that being said, can you advance? This is not a set in stone mission statement, but this is, I think, really encompasses on what we're trying to do. We're founded on principles of collaborative engagement. So our goal is, and the reason that you all are here is because each one of you represents a different aspect of outdoor recreation or tourism or conservation or environmental sciences, just different aspects. And so each one.
Yeah, I hear an echo.
You gotta mute.
Yeah, it's me. I did mute and I don't know what the hell's going on. So I think that's with the computer. Like that's off. That's
Maybe I
muted.
need to, well, no, I can't mute because I.
So yeah, I'm just
We
kind
just
of,
need to turn down your speaker.
yeah, there, it's turned down. That's what I was just doing. That's down. I don't really know why. This is.
Is it better?
Looking, but
No.
Maybe ask the other participants to mute, it could be coming as a reverb from them.
We're just getting kind of an echo in here. Try again.
there we go. There's some
Yeah.
other thing going on.
Okay.
I got it.
We got it.
Hold on.
So anyway, that's why we're talking about local, so we're all local. We all represent, diversity and why we're here. And so each one of you were really chosen and recruited specifically, so that we're getting a really well-rounded, input into how we're creating a regional plan. So this just talks about the roundtable. Why is the roundtable important? Knowledge sharing, networking, problem solving, advocacy, and resources. So again, what each one of you, just want to make sure that you understand that you're super valued. We really appreciate everybody here and the input that you're going to get. And then we're gonna let Gabe take it away.
Okay. So I probably should back up just a little bit. I think maybe I got a chance to introduce myself last time a little bit, but I went further along in this thing, and so maybe I should explain myself a little bit why I felt like I could do that. You know, if you got the presentation, took a look at it, we've got draft goals, we've got topics, like it's a lot different looking of an approach than our last meeting, which was much more open-ended, just to sort of feel the group out and that sort of thing. But so, you know, one of the reasons I felt like I could just start writing I felt, first of all, like I really thought we were at a point where we could just write some things down and start developing plan content. I think that was a little bit up in the air last time, but the more that the executive committee and Michelle sort of turned the reins over and allowed me some flexibility, I started thinking, we just really need to start writing some of this down. So part of the reason I felt like I could do that is because, just a reminder, RPI Consulting did the Montezuma County Outdoor Recreation Use and Economic Impact Study. So that was like over a year-long project. And, you know, we did intercept surveys as part, and we did public meetings, right? So we did a public meeting in Dolores, we did a public meeting at the fairgrounds, we did 20 interviews of outdoor recreation, people in the outdoor recreation space, I guess is the best way to describe it. Agency folks, that first sort of thing. We went through, did the whole data. I'm not going to go through that, but we have there's like a lot of, you know, outdoor rec data stored up in here and that we have at our disposal because it's Montezuma County's project. So, and then we did some basically implementation plans, 5 implementation plans at the end where we communicated with folks and kind of congealed some tangible ideas. So I've been, you know, obviously thinking about this a long time. Also, I grew up part-time over here. My folks split up and I grew up part-time in Cortez, spent weekends, you know, summer vacations, other vacations here, riding my bike. So I was like riding my bike up in Boggy Draw in like 1983. So kind of like, have a feel for it a little bit, and so I just dove into it, but with all that said, like, it's just words, right? So the whole point of this meeting is to start working on this plan, that we have before us. And the process is essentially, I'll sort of kick it off. I'll get, so I usually bring some information in, if we have some that I can bring, to sort of get people into context. And very rarely will I offer you a blank sheet of paper. In fact, that's it. No more blank sheets of paper. I'm gonna come in with ideas, and, but it's not because, like, these are my ideas and I'm trying to, like, get them through. It's just because I believe that's a good way to get these kind of conversations started. And that is truly honest. Like, when you see one of the goals that I've written or that sort of thing, like, I did put some thought in it. We took some time and put this stuff together. But the point is to get you all thinking about it. And I hope somebody disagrees with something that I put in there. Because otherwise, either I'm getting too smart or you guys aren't paying attention. So that's kind of my spiel to get this started.
Sorry to interrupt real quick. Did you start recording? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm glad somebody did that. I can't handle another technical step. So let's talk about the process. We were, last time we got some, and I think some feedback has come through, and I've heard, it's maybe third-handed by the time it gets to me, but we listened to that feedback and have kind of made the next steps in part based on that, and in part just based on what we've learned since the last meeting. There's moving parts all around here. So what we've done is drafted some topics, and we'll go back to these topics, right? So we can have a discussion about these topics and see whether there's something missing, but just bear with me for a second. So the topics that I believe are, I don't know, they're sort of the structure or the chapters of the plan, things that, topics that I think we can organize ideas around. So outdoor recreation use and impacts, that's outdoor recreation use, and then impacts on humans, on us and each other, and then like resource impacts. So that's both sides of the impact. Equitable access to outdoor recreation. We're not trying to take on equality entirely. We're just looking at access, equitable access, and there's different perspectives on that as we'll get into. Topic 3 is really about how are we going to continue to provide this outdoor recreation here? The actual services and facilities that go into it, into the actual direct action of outdoor recreation, not necessarily the business part of it, the part of it of offering the assets to the public for outdoor recreation. How in the world are we going to do that? So topic 4, and that has to do with capacity of the agencies, the workforce limitations therein, the funding situation, its management, its infrastructure. It's a lot of work to do. Topic 4 is more about that business growth piece. It's about how, as a community, are we going to capitalize on this? Are we going to come out the other end of this and think, okay, we got a pretty good deal out of this, out of outdoor recreation. The structure, we don't, I think a lot of the plans, like Old Coast plans, I don't know, there's some fancy planning jargon out there. I don't think we need them. I think we just need basic strategic plan structure. So what I'm suggesting is that the process for this is structured around at least the first part of it, right? So the coalition has other purposes beyond this plan, but you got a planning consultant now, so I'm like aiming toward a plan. And we should too, because we're gonna get a lot out of this plan. If we can get through this first step as a group, it's gonna help us figure each other out. And it's also gonna get us a product that is gonna get the thing on to the next step, essentially. Because planning is cyclical. We'll be back in here planning again, but this is the stage that we're at right now, is to complete this plan. The plan, basically, the first 2 meetings, this meeting and the next one will be focused on goals and strategies. So we're gonna get these goals and strategies figured out for all the topics. And we do that because there's overlap and there's, there's interaction, especially between strategies. Sometimes you'll have one strategy that implements 3 different goals. So a goal is like, what do we want to achieve? A strategy is how are we going to do it? Once we get, and it's important to get all that written down because it helps us get the full picture of what we're up against, helps us prioritize. And then we can move into action plan. Like once we've got the full picture of the assignment that we've given ourselves as a group, then we can start into the nitty gritty of the specific actions that we're gonna need to accomplish each one of these strategies. So that'll be the 3rd meeting. And we might get through, that's what we're shooting for right now. It's 3 meetings of interaction about that lead up to the content of this plan. Being, basically, you will have done your part to get us to a draft plan. Part of what I've been allowed to do since the last time we met is I'm gonna be more involved in actually writing the plan, which will be good because it's good to have the same person doing this as writing the plan. So that's what we're looking at as far as a process for kind of getting us to the draft plan within there. So there's a schedule as well. And you can see there's other steps in between. So we're always meeting with the executive committee as we lead up to and sort of debrief from these roundtable meetings. And also some community meeting series happening in the winter. So we'll get some of that going on. We don't have that entire, we'll have a plan entirely congealed on that. But we'll let the group know how that's gonna work out. And that's gonna feed in toward the end when we're completing the plan. So right now, we're trying to be judicious with your time, get a lot done in 3 meetings. See how we do, go from there. Any questions or comments on the process as we have outlined?
I would like to hear from everyone just quickly, if you have a core sweet spot or something you want to do with whether your property, whether you have, what is it that you want to happen?
Can you start us out?
Okay, hold on, just wait 1 minute.
Maybe go back to the topics.
Yeah, so we don't have time. If we want to do this in 3 meetings, you're gonna have to allow me to sort of set the agenda here. I'm gonna give you full carte blanche on it. It's not my community. I already said that I've lived here and all that sort of stuff, but I'm a Durango guy. So I'm gonna let you all decide how this goes. But if we're gonna get through these topics, 2 topics, and the goals and strategies assigned to them, we don't have time to do round robin. We're just gonna have to get right into it. And the specifics, the open-ended stuff is my hope is gonna come out of it. If we start talking about the specifics, the specific goals and strategies of this plan, the spirit of who we are and what we want is gonna come out of it because this is broad. So this, at this stage, goals and strategies, pretty broad. So we thought about this. Do we want to do a vision exercise, that sort of thing? And the decision point was basically, we've done that. We've done a lot of that, actually. We have a lot of input from various stakeholders, enough to bring it to a group like this and start to process it.
Do you think at some point there would be a time during one of our meetings where that could be discussed? Or, I don't think we should dismiss, kind of what she wants to say. Maybe we should put it in a parking lot so we can discuss it later, but is there a point in future meetings where that could be discussed?
What I heard out of that was it's a little bit like a vision type exercise. right? So we're gonna start from our values and express those and go from there. And what I'm saying is, we don't need to do that. That's the assertion that I'm making.
I think also you're gonna have goals and each of you, again, going back to the diversity of this group is you're each gonna have goals related to each specific topic. So as we're talking, as we're going through, and we're gonna go through 2 topics tonight, this afternoon. And you're each gonna be bringing those to the table, and that's how we're gonna start building out this content. And that's where you're each gonna have different ideas about what these two topics look like, and what they mean to you, and where your values are in those, and what you want to accomplish in the future. And so moving through the exercise, is just gonna bring it back.
I would ask if I could please, perhaps, because this is a very valuable comment, and I get that we need to share this information. We've got the quality time right now with our guy in the spotlight. He's on stage and the meter is running. Let's do this here, and then maybe after the fact, we're all connected via email. Maybe there's a way we can have these robust discussions behind the scenes and keep this alive and vibrant without taking time from just this. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I don't see them as separate. I think we're in the same realm. It's just that what I've done is I've taken it. So if this was a blank slate, I didn't know anything, you all didn't know anything, you've never done this before. We would have done like a vision exercise. It would have taken some time. I would have charged at least 5 figures for it. And so what we would do with that vision is we would have some vision statements that are very generalized. And then I would immediately move it toward goals, because that's the strategic part. That's the part that actually gets us somewhere. And so that's the purpose of visioning to me, is to be able to then write some goals about, that lead you in the strategic direction of doing something. And that's been the thing that I've gotten the most feedback on, like, we need to do something. So I was like, okay, man, I've heard that a lot. Let's get as close to doing something as we can right away. So that's the approach we've taken with this. I think, so I agree. I mean, this is not the normal way that you do it. But part of that is because we're stepping into something that's already underway. Right? We're moving in, we're into something. This isn't the beginning. We're into, we hiked in the middle of the river trip, and we're getting on, and we're going right here with goals. That was essentially the approach that I thought we should go with. Will you allow it?
Yeah.
More comments?
We're happy to have you.
Well, let's get on with it. Do 5 figures. We don't wanna mess around.
That scared the hell out of me. Come on. Now I know how to get to you.
Were you able to bump this into a presenter view, or are we stuck with the smaller slide? Just be it's a little bit easier with visuals with it.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
That's it, this one.
Oh, God, can we do it?
Sorry.
This thing is in my way. I have
I
never.
don't see the presenter view on there.
Here we go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna have to get out of there actually pretty soon. 'Cause, okay, so this is the schedule. We have, action planning slated for April. We may go over, that's okay. That's fine. We're just gonna do the best we can. We're gonna get going on this stuff. We're not gonna skip content because we didn't fit it into 3 meetings. We're not doing that. We're just gonna shoot for 3 meetings. If we can't do it, we'll have another one. Yeah? Okay. I did look at the last time. We hadn't actually discussed. Okay, so this is the part where I sort of prime the pump. I'm not gonna lecture you for too long. We thought, I thought, okay, so this is the topic that we're gonna talk about here. The 2 topics that we're gonna talk about today are outdoor recreation use and impacts, which is obviously part of it, and then equitable access to outdoor recreation. Topic 3, again, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna, as a community, continue to provide outdoor recreation to us, citizens here, and obviously to visitors, whether we like it or not. How are we gonna do that? And how are we gonna capitalize on it? Those are the topics that I came up with. Is that worth, like, should we just start on those, or is there like a missing piece that is just so obviously not here?
I think we can call the foundation good and let's build from here.
Yeah.
I love it, Gabe.
Good topics? Okay, and we can change it, right? Like, if we get into it and new things arise, we change it. It's easy, this is words. We can change it. Okay, good. Then we're gonna start. One of the best ways to track visitation in Montezuma County is to look at lodging tax. Because that, there is some inflation in there, but this kind of growth that you're seeing here is not all price increases and inflation. This is increased visitation. And it's hard to track visitation in other ways. This is increased overnight visitation is what I should say. So that's been very successful, and this is county-wide tax, so it's got all of Montezuma County. It doesn't have Dolores County in it, but so we have this evidence that there's been growth in overnight visitation, through some tough times. Other indicators show us the same thing. The state does an economic impact of travel every year since 2012, and they estimate millions of travel spending in each county. And that's growing, right? It's showing pretty decent growth over time. So we have this other evidence that like overall travel spending, visitation's increasing. Another trend line is Mesa Verde business. That is flat/fluctuating is what you would call that, right? Same thing with Hogan, flat/fluctuating. What does that tell us? It tells us that growth in overnight visitation is not entirely linked to Mesa Verde anymore. Other things are going on. So that overnight visitation is about other things. And there was a time when I bet you the graphs looked the same. The lodging tax collection in Cortez was the same as what Mesa Verde looked like. So we made some progress here in terms of diversifying that visitation industry. So but that's tourism. That's people that drive around in Lincoln Continental and don't even get out. Included in that group that we're measuring with that lodging tax. When we get down to actually measuring outdoor recreation, it's a lot tougher. So campground occupancy is one way, and the Forest Service tracks this. So these are the Montezuma County campsites, just as an indicator, flat/fluctuating. It just doesn't really show growth in campsites, okay? That would be cool. We had something to say about that. You had a really busy year in 2021. Everybody did, all the state parks, any kind of camping had an off the charts year in 2021. So we're a little bit desperate there. We can't quite, and there's trail counts, but they don't go back far enough. We think it's getting busier. One of the ways to look at this is the state of Colorado Tourism Office estimates travel trends statewide. They've found that day trips are increasing a lot faster than overnight trips. Again and again and again, they've really established this. We know from the Datify work that Mesa Verde country have done that 22% of the visitors in Montezuma County are Coloradans, are from Colorado. So you put those two things together, right? Increase in day trips. A lot of our visitors are Coloradans, especially off-season visitors. They kind of year-round. And it tells you how important Colorado, like our own demographics are for our outdoor recreation use patterns. So we need to start tracking that, and we actually can look at trends on that. It hasn't been growing that fast, just over 1,000 residents between 2010 and 2022 in the whole region, in Montezuma and Dolores. Dolores County is growing faster from a percentage standpoint, but the base is so small. They had 300 new people. So Dolores County is growing, and that's something to keep in mind demographically. So that basically the take home from this is it's tough to find trend, it's tough to identify trends. Like we feel growth out there, we feel it's maybe busier. But it is pretty hard to get long-term trends for outdoor recreation, at least I don't get them. So if there's more to them, send them my way. We'd love to see them. But the trends don't really bear it out, you know, like there isn't, I guess part of the reason I want to go through this is just to assure you that there's not this trove of data that I'm like keeping from you on this. It just, there isn't much of it, like this kind of group of people and what we know is about as good as it's gonna get right now. So goals and strategies. So we've got the point, what we'd like to do today, if we can, is have a discussion about these goals, get some comments on it maybe. And then move into, identifying some of the strategies to accomplish these goals. But the first thing we gotta do is see whether folks are agreeing with these goals. So this goal 1, this is like a pure result of those meetings that we had a couple springs ago in Dolores and at Fairgrounds. Accommodate outdoor recreation visitors from outside of the region without degrading locals outdoor recreation experiences. This is like, it's almost straight from the horse's mouth of what I heard again and again, and then we'll show you some of the comment results when we start talking about the strategies, but there are results from stakeholder meetings that I did not attend, but there was great note taking, and so I got those notes, and very similar to this stuff. So we heard this same thing every time we've put it out to the public. And it's important to sit with this goal for a second, because it's kind of the only goal that talks about other recreationists' impacts on us. This is about our impacts on each other. And this is the angle that I took on it with this draft goal. That this is really about accommodating visitors without degrading our own experiences. Is that the goal, or is it something else? Because there isn't another goal like it, you know?
One thing as I read this, Gabe, after reviewing the Chaffey County plan, was something in the Chaffey County plan that really would have a big part into various components that impacted that very field between the part-time visitor population and its impacts on the community. And I really, it was just really interesting to see just how much goes into an overarching goal like that when reading it in their plan. And it addressed all sorts of things, from the camping issue, and the unsolicited camping where there was, abuse of the land, to visitor attitudes coming to the community. Like this touches on quite a few things, which I do think are very important, because when you look at other communities like Salida and Chaffey County that are way far down the road than we are in terms of recreational tourism, they're smart to get ahead of that early on or not early on, but get ahead of it in a very specific way in all those different topic areas. So I don't know how much people were able to look at that plan, but I found that pretty unique. Something we can utilize in elaborating more on this one goal.
Goal 1 works great for me, because those are the objections that we try to overcome when we talk about visitation and tourism in the area, with our local, with our backing, with our forward and our multi-gens. So for me, that is excellent and very well put, but that is for me representing visitation and tourism to the area. So
it's visitor friendly, right? This is perhaps I don't have the Chaffey County one off the top of my head, but it might be a little bit more hostile. Maybe not a lot. Any good planner would make it not sound hostile, but you know what I'm saying, right? This is a little bit less hostile toward visitation. It says accommodate outdoor recreation.
I was gonna say, I like the word accommodate.
Yeah.
It's not like saying, we're actively recruiting, we know that people are coming and we need to figure out how to make it work without making it, while making it still good for, locals.
I like that, because accommodating instead of pursuing says, okay, we're taking the intelligent path, and I think that's what we're trying to do, so.
All right, well, okay, so maybe we'll go. I don't wanna cut it. Does anybody else have anything on this? It's just that good.
Gabe, you know our area pretty well, this is like
Bust into me here.
50th time. Yeah, I think you're on it.
Okay.
All right, good job with some of the vision we had early on when this week came together.
Okay. All right, so we got that one, we'll look at goal 2 and then we'll do some strategizing about that. So, because goal 2 is kind of a pair to it. Well, actually, goal 3 is important too, right? Continue to manage federal lands in multiple places.
Without goal 3, the rest of this doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta think about where we are here, just for a second. So whoops, oh no, what do we do? Come back.
Do you know what slide you're on?
Oh, I got it. Okay, come back. All right, so, the goal to reduce the near-term and long-term impacts of outdoor recreation on natural resources, heritage resources, and outdoor recreation infrastructure. So what I was thinking here is that these two deal with a lot of the mitigation. Like, this is the realm of recreation use and dealing with the impacts. We want all of it to be covered under these two goals, so I don't know, I might have just jammed too much into it. I felt like I was maybe doing that with goal 2.
Well, I can draw lines from goal 2 back to everything in goal 1 and how that supports and makes sense for it, so.
Can you stop sharing and reshare because you're stuck on slide 8 and they're not seeing the full presentation?
So strange. What was going on there? I think I was like in a different world. A different PowerPoint in a different world. Okay, is it back?
Okay, well, now we're on slide 19, right? Yep, okay, we're good on line.
Okay, sorry, guys. Sorry, they're on the web. So did we do it again? Did we just nail 2 goals?
It's got semantics, but, it's a lofty goal to reduce impacts, but there may be some recreation activities where we just have to maintain the impacts. I mean, to reduce impacts of trails, you may have to like reduce trails. There might be-
Oh, that's important. Okay, so what's a better verb? Can we replace reduce with a better verb?
I think manage.
Manage.
Manage, mediate, eliminate. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Moderate?
I like manage.
Manage,
Yeah.
It assumes that we have good intentions, the managers do, but I guess most people will have that built in.
They can sustainably manage, right? I don't know.
And I'm be careful to use sustainability because it like is a trigger term for some people.
Right.
If we mean it as an actual thing that we can define, I think we say it. But we have to mean it. Because we might have to argue about it.
But you're right, manage could go anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's flexible.
Or,
Yeah,
I think it speaks to an awareness of near and long-term impacts, which is not really a big part of that.
but it doesn't set up Mission Impossible. We don't want Mission Impossible. We can't do that, so. Reduce might be, that starts to look like Mission Impossible in some cases.
See, so now we changed our word. Do you feel better?
Yes, I do. All right, well, enough of this. It's gonna get hard from here on out, so I'm gonna actually take, yes.
I think I'd like to maybe see the word education in these goals, if you're talking about use and impacts and kind of increased tourism and local education.
I agree with you, but I think education is the tool that gets us.
Yeah, the strategy to achieve the goal.
Okay, so let's do that. Do we want to start into strategies?
Well, should we go through all 4 goals first?
Yeah. it's good for the-
Okay, we can do that. I was all excited because we were like, we got cute in district strategies, but okay, I'll wait. All right, so continue to manage federal lands for multiple uses.
I didn't get
That's a one line.
problem with that, except that, I mean, federal lands, federal managers have their own people, their own mandates. We're not mandating what federal managers.
No, that's a great point. We're
do.
managing between what the mandate is and what the reality on the street is and trying to fill that.
Yeah, so I just, to me,
Well, how
that
feasible
goal
is that actually? I mean, in the federal land managers in the room, you know, hopefully can speak to that. How much of what we're planning and maybe mandating or goal setting with is actually gonna be able to be implemented within your agencies?
Yeah, it's not manage, it's massage. It's massage. It's massage.
Maybe we're support.
Yeah.
Support, is it just federal lands, is it federal and state lands? We have a lot of public
Yeah.
lands, just.
Public,
Yeah,
Public lands,
Yeah.
period.
yeah,
and so you're.
so, and I would put support too.
You know, I had that originally as public lands, and then I started thinking of like City of Cortez open space. And I was like, that's not multiple use, man. When you get into like municipal open space, it's not multiple use anymore. It's like, this parcel's for this one's for this.
But there may be strategies that we bring into a plan that we can share with the municipality that would do some of our other goals, which would open up opportunities from outside visitors that would like to take advantage of.
Okay, I like that, because what you're saying is this is a meta group. Anyways, so if we're talking to municipalities, we're talking in their context, sure. Overall, in the region, manage it for multiple uses. If there's a no bike, no dogs, no nothing open space, that's part of that strategy. Like the Flatiron from bowling.
Yeah, right.
You can't do anything.
Right.
In fact, you have to test your pulse and blood pressure before you even get in.
Do you think you should take manage out of there because we don't really have any control over managing?
Support the management.
Yeah,
But
but that
support,
would
I
be
thought
up to
support
staff
was a good
once we
word.
Come up with objectives, because it is kind of nebulous. I mean, how does this group, work with land managers for multiple use?
The word that
Good,
comes to
let's
mind
try.
for me is collaborate. You know,
Oh,
the point earlier about these groups, these entities have their own mandated things. We're collaborating with them as we have, you know, whether it's existing trail organizations in the area that have collaborated with BLM or National Forest to gain access. You know, so we're collaborating with those government appointed land management partners as a coalition. Seems like collaborating is what's going to sustain and maintain the access for multiple users. That relationship, that collaboration isn't there, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's important. I think the advantage of this group is an opportunity to, work out these projects outside the NEPA process.
Right.
Which is basically, we can form and ignore. So this is gonna provide an opportunity to, collaborate with stakeholders on a different level than NEPA requirements.
Can I say advocate? Are we advocating for multiple use? As a group, can I say it that definitively? Because then we can.
No, I think that's.
Well, I mean, that's already a mission of federal agent,
Right.
federal, agencies like the BLM and Forest Service is to manage for public uses, so, or multiple uses, I'm sorry, so.
To advocate for
Yeah, the tool's already there.
It's part of our mission too.
So as they continue to collaborate with public land managers for multiple uses.
Yeah.
like that.
Exact window.
And do we want the word continue in there? We're just starting.
Oh, I can continue because we're picking up a long tradition of doing this, hopefully.
Yeah.
We're expanding on it. So.
If it really existed and been done well in a lot of folks already.
Okay. We've changed 2 goals. And goal 2 has a different meaning now, even though I wrote it. So this is good. We're good on goal 3. That's a little bit more accurate to what we can do. You're thinking about strategies too, like that's smart to be thinking, okay, is this a goal that we can be actionable on? Enable equitable access to outdoor recreation.
Who can pick it that way?
I guess the only thing that I worry about is enable, like,
So
we wanna make it work and make it happen, but like promising, enabling complete equitability for everybody is like a huge.
Could it be a goal to increase?
facilitate,
Facilitating.
Yeah.
a little softer than enable.
I think it varies from which group you're trying to make access equitable, like for ADA access, I mean, you're not required to make things equal. So if we're gonna say equitable access, does that mean we have to, try to make all of recreation, accessible to, you know, to the ADA, users?
Maybe we need to tear them apart into 2 goals. I had that thought, like, the ADA accessible piece, it may not be entirely compatible with, because the equitable access that I've actually heard about in Montezuma County has to do with like getting kids that don't have any money into the woods. And that's what I've heard mostly, and like people that don't have wheels, get them up there to the lake, you know, that's what I've heard, mostly. But that's just the meetings. So can we have that kind of access combined with the ADA facility hardscape type access?
Isn't that dependent on funding?
I don't know, I think it's a categorical issue in that, could it get us into, are we gonna run into trouble with it or not?
Yeah, I think the word equitable is really difficult to work with. I've seen the word barriers substituted for that, in that you're identifying something that's restricting someone from being able to do an activity, whether it's a physical, socioeconomic, whatever the barrier is attached to, can be broken apart, but seeing it as a barrier and then addressing it that way, as opposed to.
I don't know about my articles or my, let's see, the definitives there.
Reduce barriers to outdoor recreation access.
Thank you.
That looks really good. I like it.
And I think it also depends on exactly where within the county these things happen. You know, the location is going to dictate also where, how things are accommodated.
I would agree with that.
Okay, that's good. Is that one better? And does it deal with having both the kids that don't have any money or wheels and the ADA?
Yeah, because barriers encompasses all of that.
Okay,
And the strategies can be a subset of the goal that address ADA, equal access.
okay, cool. All right, so that's topic 1, goals. You can, I mean, the question to ask would also be like, are we missing anything? Is there something missing? But I almost want to go through the strategies and then re-ask that, but
Well, also with that.
I already did it. Now I spilled the beans. Is there anything missing? I just did it out loud. I thought out loud and now I'm trapped.
I don't think we have the unlimited time and resources to really, pick up on more of those things that might be missing right this moment. Maybe something will be really obvious as we go more through the strategy, but I think for now, confining the reach of this is probably pretty important. Okay.
All right, well, Brian tried to snuff that out, but I snuffed it out. Does anybody want to give another shot?
Just the wording on the third one, are we talking about multiple user group access? That, when I see multiple uses, the way the sentence reads is a little bit strange to me. Is the topic to collaborate with public land managers to maintain multiple user group representation? Or, I don't know, maybe it reads clearly and it's just not reading clearly. Is it,
It's a little awkward.
yeah, is it multiple user groups? Is that the versus multiple uses?
I think multiple user groups is a little too specific and confining. I think the multiple uses is more.
Maybe it's just multiple use. Because multiple use is a management strategy. It's a management philosophy, right? Like, what is it?
Well, this recreation group is gonna have to coexist with timber, with oil and gas, different things, and so, the multiple use is not just a horseback rider and the hunter, it's recreationalists, it's industry. So, that's where this multiple use concept can't get, sort of spoiled away into just multiple recreation uses.
Right. And this teaches right.
And it keeps our, like, because we got Morris County in this group.
Yeah, we got two counties. So.
And this is Montezuma County, so multiple uses, it's like in the county's county. Multiple uses of the term that's in the county's comprehensive plan. It is. That Montezuma County's comprehensive plan. I don't know if Morris County has it, but if they do, multiple uses in there, almost guaranteed. Okay, good. One more edit.
That, Jake, did that?
Yes, thank you for the explanation, because now that makes total sense.
I think multiple use, if we just cut the S off, then that references the management philosophy, not the individual uses. So we'll try to remember that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that as we move forward, we're also gonna have to remember that multiple use also includes like intrinsic value of natural resources and, quiet use and
Night sky vision. Dark sky view scenery.
Right, yeah, sure.
Yeah, one of the big findings always from that big state of Colorado Longwoods International thing that they do is the most popular activity to do in Colorado is drive around and take pictures. That's why we can't get anywhere in the summer in around here, is because there's people driving around taking pictures.
So Dave, is goal 4 actually topic 2? Because on the schedule, you have 2 topics. The second topic is equitable access to outdoor recreation.
Oh, yeah. I suppose so.
If not, I think that has to be full there.
Yes, I think so, actually. I don't know how. Well, we'll keep moving forward. We got that goal sorted out. So we got that one dealt with for future. Okay, so we did some stuff to prepare for this. Like, I really don't just make stuff up, I swear. This goal, like, okay, you're gonna have to bear with me because I haven't re-edited some of these things, right? So I guess I could rewrite them, but the goals that are written at the top are the unedited ones.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna have to just live with that.
So what you've got now on that screen is not what's on Zoom. Right.
I don't know how to fix that. I don't know what the deal is. Like, I'm just, all I'm doing is. I have no idea why, like, it doesn't advance. Can't fathom as to why I have to do that every time. It doesn't make any sense to me. The other way to do it is for somebody else to just share it, and then I just show it here, but.
Did you make any changes since the last version I have? Cause I could.
Just the changes that we just made here
Yeah.
now.
If you continue to make changes on your draft, then I can just show it.
I don't know, I guess you can, we're gonna change slides fairly slowly here, so. I don't know what is going on, I think when you turn it to slideshow, it just kills it. I have no idea why the hell it's not moving, I couldn't tell you, I just stopped sharing. You're right there, stop share, reshare. On the PowerPoint, on the slide that I'm on right now, I go share, it doesn't do anything. So I have no idea what's going on with Zoom. It's something with Zoom. Okay, all I know to do is to keep going. Unless you want me to stop share and then you can try and monkey with it to get the people back online. I have no clue why that.
Let me see if I can pull it up and share it. But I want you to make changes to your document as we go along. So
That's
that
what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm making changes and I'm saving it actually.
Okay.
So you want me to stop share?
Leave it for a second while at least the people online can see it. I just need to find it and pull it up.
Okay, so we're gonna just keep kind of rolling here on this. You guys aren't seeing it either.
Yeah. They're the ones not seeing it.
Nobody's seeing it. What is going on here?
Happens to all of us, Becky.
Maybe if I completely turn it off.
Okay, how about you stop share? I'll share.
I don't know that. Oh, okay. Then you can drive it. But I'll have to make the changes on mine. That's good.
Yeah, you just have to.
I don't like this. I don't like them not being able to see the one down there.
But,
So I'm just gonna do that. I think maybe we should just take this right here. Sorry, folks, I don't know what is going on with this stupid Zoom, but it is not doing what it's supposed to do. So I'm gonna just
well,
back
I've
up
got you
here.
on, okay, so we're on slide 20. They can see it on Zoom.
Right, but I need to try and make changes while we're doing, that's the whole point of this, is that me making
So
changes
you make changes in your document.
that they can see. That's what we
Well,
need. That's what we need. I think I've had about enough of this, dude. I hear you. I had about enough.
3 years in the making.
I wonder what happens if I just plug this in, it's gonna override it.
What if you save it to Google Slides, and then you can share the Google Slides and live updates in Google Slides?
That sounds very complicated.
Yeah, sure. I mean, cause it's a whole separate file, so they're not gonna collaborate, they're not gonna talk to each other.
Did you get rid of your computer?
Oh, yeah, tell you the combos, but go around.
So let me do this or not, let's see.
John's involvement, so. We come from Microsoft Smart, yeah.
That's
Like somebody from Europe brings Zoom, then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Why don't you save it right now, send it to me, and I will share it, and I can make changes as we go along.
Or let's just try to bring this thing back. See if you can, if I open up the PowerPoint again. Just let me try it one more time.
Okay.
Let's just do, here we are trying to do something.
We need a chalkboard in there. Old school.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
right now we got this slide anyway. Okay, so.
And it's on Zoom, so we're good.
So we did some stuff. I don't need to be over here anymore. That thing didn't work anyways, man. The wires, they don't.
You
Okay,
guys can see the slide on Zoom, right? Yeah, okay, great.
okay. So we developed these goals, and again, the editing and all that, but so we developed these goals with the comments and all the stuff that we've learned. I mean, that's where this all came from. So these are direct comments from actual people in the area. All saying, do not so from the Montezuma OREC meetings, do not overdevelop or overpromote Montezuma County. Develop and manage outdoor recreation more for residents than visitors. Like this is starting to sound like some of that Chaffey County stuff you're talking about. Don't promote locals' favorite spots. There's some wisdom in that. Not displacing locals with tourists. Continue to support planned responsible growth. Here's some solutions: expand trails and access in Canada, including outside of Sand Canyon, right? So thinking about places that aren't as busy, and let's promote those. Plan and build more trails and more trail systems. Use of public lands without needing a permit, so people concerned that like all these extra additional uses is gonna cut into their ability to do something without a permit. I share that anxiety. From the Montelores stakeholder session number 1, which was early summer? February, okay. Balance between trying to make money and trying to keep what we have for outdoors and wildlife for future generations. That's like, that could just go right in the plan. Reduce marketing the area. Knowledge of which areas people can access and spread out more. Consider reservations for park trails, recreation, loss of solitude and wilderness. Develop better signage and wayfinding tools to guide visitors to lesser known sites. So this was like people zeroed in on this right away. We opened up a conversation. People are right into this saying stuff like this, right? So here we are. We've got to come up with some strategies to implement this goal. Did it advance?
Yes.
Do something twice, different outcomes. That's great. Anyway, machines aren't supposed to be like. So strategies from the public input. So we're gonna define strategies here. How are we gonna do this? We were getting into some with education and that sort of, so those were kind of strategies. The strategies that we got from the public input that are just pretty like from a planner perspective, filter perspective, pretty much strategies. Market less busy areas, not the busy areas, not the local favorite. So that's a strategy I think that comes out of this. Expand and build more trails and access. That's a strategy for dealing with more recreation use. Signage directing people to lesser known sites. Those are strategies. And I wrote those down not because like they're my teacher's pet favorite strategies. I just wrote that down because like here's some like strategies that percolate out of what people just randomly said. So you can randomly say things too that seem strategic. It doesn't have to be all perfect and with the right verb and everything. Just say what you guys think, and we'll get the verbiage figured out in the RPI office and with the executive committee and bring it back to you.
One of the things that I'm seeing across the state is, and this goes directly, Brian, I know you probably just had some anxiety over that comment, but, about marketing the area, but, is across the state, there's just a shift. And even at the CTO, as you're aware of, with the stewardship, destination stewardship, program, those are sort of the two buzzwords, stewardship and education, and putting those two together. And it's not stopping the marketing, it's how you market and how you start to train the brains of a visitor.
Somebody help me. Help us get that into a sentence.
I think the first thing is the previous slide with all its pretty awesome information is maybe pull out words. I mean, there was a lot of overlap between a lot of those comments that people provided. Maybe it would help to look at, okay, where's overlap between these 12 comments that were provided by citizens to give us a better way to come up with whatever, however many strategies.
But you guys are the producers of the strategy. We don't need, this stuff, we got it, it's there. You guys just do it, like, this is how it works. Like, if you got something that you wanna do, so right now, what I'm trying to do is figure out how to write that, what Michelle just said. So the buzzwords I'm gonna put in here are stewardship,
Nurtures.
no, it has to do with marketing, so.
Had to do with marketing. So target marketing is something that you can consider that other recreational cities and counties have looked at. It's rather
I mean, it's a
than just
stewardship
shoving
marketing
things from the rooftop.
Stewardship marketing,
We call it selective marketing, but yes,
Yeah.
that's fine.
stewardship. Marketing. Do I put campaign? We get that serious about it?
I don't think campaign, I think that's more of a threat, more of like awareness or.
Program? So it's gotta be an active thing, so we're gonna
Stewardship marketing.
promote stewardship marketing, we're gonna, implement stewardship marketing.
Yeah,
We could just say like
Through education.
explore and implement, explore. And implement,
Through education, but I want to point out too, one of the reasons, Peggy, that you're here is because, and Lene brought it up as well, is using art as education, and as a form of communication. So I don't want to lose that element of it as well.
So maybe going with what Gabe has right there, and education via the arts, via, all these different outreaches. I mean, we have a lot of ways that we can specify that, but maybe that's something. we can-
Art and culture, because
I think,
along with the stewardship campaign that's where we have the opportunity to really showcase is not a good word, to highlight the unique culture that we have in this region.
To celebrate.
so I would see the art as kind of an action implementation. I'm just gonna make a note of that. Cause that's a way to sort of accomplish this. To use art.
And at some point, if you're gonna do that, I hope that you're going to define the manifestation of art and the experiential practice of creating. They are totally different. And everybody gets them confused. And I never say artist, like an artist residency. I say for participancy in the arts. That means all the arts. That means learning to do that, learning to, practice that practice. Because if you don't, you're gonna end up with just things. You're not going to end up with anything that has a soul or has any power.
Meaningless things instead of meaningful expression.
Yeah, yeah.
So what about, this idea, okay, so is this gonna do it for our stewardship and education?
No, I think there's more.
Strong enough?
I think we're identifying areas of marketing based on our arts and cultures component to our community, our outdoor recreational sports component of our community. I think we're identifying what are we marketing, right? The town of Memphis is very, very, very diverse in, the industry of the arts. So in my mind, we're identifying the areas that we're marketing based on what our community has.
But are we working on actions right now, or are we supposed to be focusing on strategy?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we should.
So
But the,
those are just sort of like, throw it in there so we don't forget that on.
Yeah, although I think
I think
the
cultural
target
heritage.
marketing is different than this, like if we're, marketing for specific types of visitors, that's different than, this is the content, this strategy is about marketing content. It's about what you have in your marketing.
So
If
is
we're
it-
talking about targeting certain audiences, I thought that's a different strategy.
Or is that more of an action?
Is it experiential? I mean, particularly?
It's an action insofar as well, this is all higher up. So explore and implement stewardship, marketing and education. Some of it might just be flat out marketing, right? It's not, some of it's just like, come to Cortez, it's a blast. It's not education. Some of it is just trying to get customers here.
But it also
So
goes to your.
there's more to marketing than just stewardship and education. That's what I'm saying.
It's targeted marketing is moving the crowds to the less busy areas.
And Michelle, this is a point that's so important for me, and I need to find a way to get this to fit into our context here. Gabe, as you know, currently with the Colorado Welcome Center, which we oversee and administer, every morning, our team is contacting all of our resources in the area and finding out what's hot today, where don't you want visitation, what trails do you prefer to have no access on, what's muddy, what's got social trail problems, all this, right? We do this every day, and guys, we're a very tiny office, okay? What we'd like to try to come to is a point where there's a data dump. People know they can contact the Welcome Center, just for example, and say, hey, I'm with the park today, I'm with this area today, I'm with that area today, and guess what? We've got a problem with this trail, can you guys please not push that? And we'll let you know when that trail's going to be pushed again. It's kind of crazy, but this is what we do every day. And I think we've worked closely with our partners and local people to show that we respect that. And maybe there's a way to codify that and build that into.
Is
one of these-
Cotrax an option for that?
Cotrax is huge for that, but Cotrax only goes so far, right? Cotrax is not gonna know the immediacy, at least to my knowledge, they're not gonna know the immediacy today, what's going on in your team, for example. We
So
do,
it's again, training people to do that.
to train people, but to get them to contact us, so that it was getting dumped in one big pot instead of us reaching out everywhere in the community and missing some people. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that.
Well, it seems to me you have a contradiction here as well. It says you've got commentary that says don't promote locals' favorite spots. And then it says market less busy areas. My guess is that the favorite local spots are the less busy areas. So I'm gonna take that into consideration.
I would say that there are at least a dozen places in Montezuma County specifically that Mesa Verde Country has never spent a dime or a moment's breath promoting, because we realize those are very special and unique to us, and we try to kind of protect that. Legally, we don't have a leg to stand on, but that's what we try.
Well, I'm not just saying you, Brian, I'm just saying in general, that we're talking about marketing.
Right.
Like, what do we wanna do?
But then don't we have
Do we
to-
wanna disperse the crowds, or do we wanna push them to certain areas?
But to tackle that effectively, we'd have to identify what are those preferred spots. Oh, then we open up that can.
But the larger thing too is, we're talking about marketing becoming our initial educational tool to get to people. The way we even talk about recreation.
Right, for consistency of messaging, yes.
Right, so. With this ethic about respect for natural and cultural resources, that has to start with the marketing. It's not just what we market and where we're marketing, but how that what is that initial message that we're missing? And I'm not marketing that.
Well, what are the methods that we use to obtain that? Because Mesa Verde Country won't work with people that are influencers of a certain age or demographic, because they want to come in, turn on the pipeline to the area with no respect for what we have or hope to protect here. So we're very selective with that as well. But yes, there's got to be a way to define that and to make sure that it's working for everybody. But the education is a part of every marketing campaign that we do. For sure.
Well, that seems like a good task or a good mandate for this group is, what is that stewardship? What does that look like?
Yeah,
You know, no matter where you visit,
yeah,
in our region, we would appreciate it if you did bam, 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 and bam.
Mhm.
That's good stewardship.
So we use careful Colorado principles for.
Right, and let's just say that, we are members of the Care for Colorado Coalition, and, it's canned messaging, but it certainly is stewardship principles.
That don't reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I think what we need, okay, so I keep these ideas are great ideas. I keep slotting them into like actions. And it's making me wonder on the stewardship and education piece, I'm just gonna ask it. So an action plan, there on the back. Hopefully this doesn't melt down the Zoom here. An action plan basically looks like this. We might put seven columns, but it's a matrix, right?
Yeah.
So if we get to the point, and April seems like a long ways away, it isn't, man, we'll be here, like, before you know it, it'll be April. Do you think that if we were to like, say, raise your hand, volunteer to join the stewardship and education action planning group, and we put this strategy that we've been working on at the top here, that we could work through all the stewardship education stuff we need to work through? Because that's where I was at. I was like, oh, stewardship education, it's gonna be like 1 or 2 strategies. We're gonna do some action plans on it. That'll be good enough. Is it good enough?
I wanna move through some of these goals before we get to, implementation teams, for instance.
Yeah, that's April. That's all April. I'm just asking people permission if we can punt it. And I think that's what you're advocating.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting. I'm starting to get.
It was helpful to see that though, because seeing that and how a goal becomes an action step, I think for this group is important.
Yeah, these are the things that so like, targeted marketing, those kind of action steps, like where you can be assigning people to it, like, oh yeah, Brian knows how to do that, or, it's the Canyon, so that Canyon's Alliance that can do that, so there's different people that can help with some of it's agency stuff, some of it's nonprofits. So I think that's kind of what I was thinking with it. So if everybody agrees with that, or if we're okay with the kind of the waiting and seeing on that, the thing we really need to evaluate is whether this strategy is good enough to set you up to set up that team. All of these strategies are like that. They could, each one of them have an action plan. We might combine some of them. I don't know. We've got, a lot of the end of this is consolidating and reducing redundancies and that sort of thing. But that's basically the idea, is that each one of these significant strategies would have an action plan. So the question is, explore and implement stewardship, marketing, and education. Enough specificity, is that enough to set us up for the brainstorming that you guys were firing right into?
It still seems like an action item for me for this goal, and that there's some other, kind of strategies that, we might be missing. The way I'm wrapping my mind around this goal is I think about the sources of the degradation of the local experience, and there's 2 things that I can think of. One is just a decrease in solitude. A lot of people just want to be out there and not feel crowded. And that could be a certain user, like if you're on horseback, you come across a bike. I mean, that's a conflict. That's definitely a degradation of the user. And there's also the decrease in opportunities. If anyone's trying to camp up on Boggy Draw on a holiday weekend, it's really tough. And that's really hard for locals. But there's also a decrease in opportunities for hunting, getting a hunting tag, fishing isn't as good as it used to be. So those are the things that I really think about. How do we reduce those sources of degradation for the locals? And I think marketing might be one way of letting people know, well, share the trail, expect, horsebacks on these trails, or bikes on these trails, or direct them to other areas where you're gonna feel less crowded or have other opportunities.
Right, because the reality of a horseback rider running, seeing the bicyclist on a trail in our county, which run through Shannon, we're not gonna change that.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure. They're bikes.
but we wanna change how people look at that, how they think about that, how they react.
Yeah, it seems like that's what, the local people really gonna care about. And how do we reduce those conflicts and degradation?
I think that's an interesting point too, because as a geologist, I think just about drift, and experiential drift is something that happens too. So that You know, if you're from Cincinnati, Ohio, no offense to anybody from there, but you come here and you go to shoot some ladders, so from Mesa Verde, it's a pretty busy, undeveloped, dispersed recreation site. Mostly just overnight campers. I would never camp there as somebody who knows the area, but from Cincinnati, they look at it, they think, oh, this is amazing. But so how do you avoid the drift that occurs with the degradation of those sites and, you know, the increase in people? And I'm doing a poor job of articulating this, but as more visitors come from busier areas, how do you avoid sort of a slow drift toward less pristine places?
A more homogenized generic experience that's less
Yeah, I
valuable.
mean, how do you put a marker in, like, this is the experience, like, the fishing is this good, and you quantify it, or the hunting is this good, or there's this much solitude.
Yeah, the erosion of the experience would come.
Right.
So this is great. I've turned these three of these statements into strategies. Maybe we should check a little bit about it, because I think the solitude thing is a strategy to work on. Right? And so some of the marketing might be an action step in there. And like when we get into the planning, like we have to get rid of all the overlap. We have to work on this stuff again and come back and explain, like we combine these things. So some of it might be we can put it back together later, but I was kind of thinking that these were, that it particularly addressing the degradation of solitude and addressing the reduction of opportunities. Those are both, they ring true like intuitively with me as well, as like core problems. I don't know if we worded them right. It's probably okay, but the point is to be able to put, is it actionable? Is this an actionable strategy that we feel like we should work on as it's written roughly?
Can you describe the reduction of opportunities in lay language?
I thought the boggy draw example of you want to go camping and there are no campsites left on weekends. Like if you want to go camping on boggy draw Saturday night, all the campsites are taken on Friday. Like you're not gonna get
And
you're
how
not
are
gonna
you
get a
going
spot.
to reduce that?
It's addressing the reduction of the campers' opportunities. The camper wanted to go camping and there was no opportunities because all the campsites were taken in boggy draw. And hunting, you said hunting was like that too.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder to draw a tag or, yeah.
Or feel like you're at a place.
I guess there's over-the-counter bull tags, but there's no over-the-counter archery tags anymore. And eventually, everything will probably be just a water. Everything, yeah. It's like a water state.
The Dolores River side, I think, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I should say another good example that people could try to wrap their minds around is like the Dolores River, you know, where, I know Rico's here, but, you know, where it used to be, you know, every time there's a float in the Dolores River below the dam, below McPhee, you know, it used to be a fairly somewhat pristine experience. Now it's, you know, it's so crowded anymore that every time it floats, you might not go to a camp. From there, it can get challenged, so it's just gotten so popular and the experience it's not an experience of solitude quite like it used to be, maybe, at least some people would describe it that way.
The drift of degradation, that's a complex idea. I think it's like happens though. Like I see what you're saying, like it just keeps spreading out, the bar gets put lower and lower and pretty soon you're in a gravel parking lot.
But okay, so my point is, to stop the degradation, you might have to implement some infrastructure.
I would agree, and that flows into the next goal, but in even what you have here about, you know, expanding access, marketing to lesser known areas, how is that gonna affect the lack of infrastructure and the lack of capacity with land managers if we're then moving people to these different areas?
Infrastructure promotes that drift of degradation. education that Jill was discussing. So there's a reason why you can't find campgrounds within a few miles, campsites within a few miles of the boggy trailheads, because we have nice bathroom there. Right, so, infrastructure is not necessarily the key. It's a tool that we need to use to funnel people into these parking areas, for instance, within our trail system that don't get a lot of use. And that addresses or provides for solitude in different areas. So we can't fix the fact that people are gonna be drawn to a trailhead or populated trail system, and that they're gonna go there and have some solitude.
Right, we can't manage the burden to the resource base.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So,
Like if you move to say areas that have moved towards designated campsites or something like that, that's also. Yeah, in some places that's been done, because those areas have gotten so crowded, the resources can't accommodate all these people anymore, so we've had to move towards the. Designated.
Yeah.
And that's infrastructure too, though, right? I mean, to go to designated sites, you gotta post them, you gotta have the signage, you gotta install a bunch of stuff.
Someone has to maintain it.
it's additional infrastructure. But yes, it does address the problem. A lot of these travel management decisions we've made, we've closed off an area, but then we see the problem moving to another area. So I don't have the key, I don't have the answer to how to handle that, but I think that's a broader discussion.
I almost wanna put these three, the address degradation, solitude, opportunities, and the drift thing under something about infrastructure.
Yeah, that's.
I think Tom's got us going the right direction, so what, but my brain is all locked up, somebody's gotta help me get started on it here.
I think we need to, with your outline of how we're doing it by goals, we're doing it by, action steps and strategies. One other thing you could add to that structure is objectives.
Well, strategies are,
They have to be measurable, right? That's the
I
one
don't know,
thing.
I think the objectives thing is a pain in the butt because of that. Because every time you start using the word objectives, everybody's like, what's measurable? I'm like, I don't freaking know, we're just trying to get some stuff done here. So I think that some of the strategies that we come up with might be like the classic objection, but I don't wanna get hung up in that. I think this kind of thinking right here is what we need though, because I think what Tom has gotten us into he's gotten us into the right hierarchy of thinking here about the strategies. And I think the strategy, maybe it's something about utilizing deliberate infrastructure planning to address degradation of solitude, reduction of opportunities. I don't know if we can say drift yet, that's a heavy concept, we might have to find a different, but degradation is definitely part of it. Where's capacity? Wait, so are we?
Well, I think that's the next goal, and we're even kind of getting into infrastructure is really part of the next goal, right? I don't remember if it's the next one or the third one.
Not especially, I think we're good,
Supporting
as long as.
Houses are really important.
Let's not worry about that, let's just try to get through this idea. I think it's a really good idea, and I'm trying to figure out whether people agree with me that these things right here, which are all really freaking important. Degradation of solitude, reduction of opportunities, that's what pisses people off.
Steve has something to say. Go ahead, Steve.
Yes, just when you're talking about infrastructure and accessing these camping sites with the solitude and like that, let's not forget the internet. I know that the chutes and ladders over there was heavily used as an alternative to paying the fees to camping in Mesa Verde National Park and like that. So we can't forget the use of the internet there. Thank you.
The van life or websites, I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, those things.
We have no control over them.
No, we don't.
But you can provide resources for where those, it is one of the largest growing camping, vessels, right, out there. The Outlanders, or what are they called? Overlanders. Outlanders. But one thing would be to, you know, the slide you showed earlier, Gabe, with regarding the camping was all public lands camping. There's a lot of camping out there that is private. There's a lot of Airbnb type things. There's a lot of things to draw into to offer people from out of town accommodations that we can provide through a listing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Hip Camp is growing steadily and coming up on the third party vacation rentals quickly, so.
Yeah, oh, it's huge.
I think that's a place where we really need to be cognizant of correlating our messaging so that what we do in this action item with those three that you just had up, the degradation and the solitude, matches up with our education and awareness. So that our visitors get an idea, okay, Boggy Draw is great dispersed primitive camping, but if you've got a 30-foot RV, right, here are some other options. And then beyond that, this time of the year is not the best. You may get your RV stuck in Boggy. And so the more we can educate and the more that we can give people information about the things that they can do in their area, the more we will, I think we can stop some of that degradation.
That also supports, you know, the RV parks.
Yeah.
We want to make sure this rec economy also enables and supports the other the private economy things. The feds can't do it all, we don't want to do it, we're not good at it.
Right.
We've got other values out there, the RV parks, the businesses downtown, things like that.
There's a bunch of them. I inventoried them.
And they're really good ones.
Bunch of private
And
campers.
somebody with a 30-foot RV, we want them in Agency or at Westview as opposed to this first camping.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
How's this look? It's getting a little wordy, but I'll D-word it. I'll get in there and D-word some of these things, but plan for making infrastructure improvements to address degradation of solitude, reduction of opportunities, and expanding degradation. It focuses this on infrastructure. It's a spatial capacity issue thing. That's how it came up, right? You're missing places to do the stuff that we used to be able to do that we want to do. It doesn't really get into management much. We're talking about managing people, it just is infrastructure.
Yeah, I think.
But you guys are already ripping on actions for these, I think that's good.
I was gonna say the biggest degradation is from campers camping along the rivers or camping on high alpine meadows and they don't understand that when they leave, they've left something. They've only been there 4 days. It was beautiful. The grass is green when they leave. It's been trampled and then the next people come and they camp. They don't see how the degradation happens over a period of time.
Yeah.
So are we good with that being infrastructure still? That's what I keep wondering.
Well, that's part of the educational thing that has to
Okay.
happen.
So we got the educational
Is
part.
that stewardship of taking care of the land and thinking, okay, I don't have to have park on the grass.
Okay, good, awesome. So we covered some pretty good ground there.
So I don't wanna, I think we might be moving forward, but I feel like there might be something to talk about as a group here that I think is a big part of our world now is missing, which is social media presence. You know, whether we like it or not, especially people visiting from outside the area are getting most of their information from social media. And a lot of the information sharing, I know, calls on Brian's office because they seem to have information across different land management boundaries or you know, city, national forests and national park. But I think something that we are missing here is a reliable social media presence for outside visitors.
And that's tough because as you say, we control the messaging that comes through us as a conduit, and we work closely with international people that help us promote that, but we don't control the stuff that we don't control, you know what I'm saying? And all that other stuff can become a huge tidal wave and overtake the efforts that we're trying to do. So I'm very sensitive to that, and I'm looking for more ways to come.
And I think we've seen, this is the how and not part of the goals, but I just want to say that we've seen other places throughout the country do this, where they have social media ambassadors that represent the county or represent some national forests have a more robust social media presence. National parks do a good job. CPW and state seems to get really good traction. The good posts that they put on there, they get to be a lot more humorous than we seem to be, but that is a huge part of our world now.
That's mostly.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, people are aging into that more and more every year. We are behind, you know, everyone that's coming in is gonna be younger than us. Reality.
Do you think of using social media just to educate the public? If you come here, it would be sensitive other resources.
Yeah, I don't know if I really had a way in which I feel that it should be used. I just think it's important that we recognize that that is where everyone's information comes from now. If you look at the news from it, if your maps, you know, TikTok, whatever, that's how people are learning about these places. We're not involved and we're not controlling or a part of it at all.
I think an action item should be to come up with a bumper sticker that says loose lips sinks private campsite.
You just made my job easier, thank you. Okay, guys, excuse me, I have a meeting with the state at 4, I've got to go, but I love this.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, we're gonna try tracking the goal too. I think we did good there. I think, you know, when we get there, we get through April, like, I think we're gonna probably end up back at this group with some revised, you know, putting all this together. Some of it depends, but we should move on. See if we can, I think we did really good with that, with those strategies that we got before. I guess what I'm trying to say is, we'll do the best we can, we'll get as far as we can. We're gonna end up,
We will
this
have
is
10
iterative,
minutes.
we're gonna back up and we're gonna have to fill in some gaps and that sort of stuff. It's not the end of it, it's not the end of it here. So,
We're gonna have some redundancy between goal 1 and goal 2.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna have redundancies, and maybe we, you know, I don't know. We're just trying to get going here on it. And so goal 2, reduce, we changed the language of that goal a little bit, I do believe, to manage, oops, that's wrong. Here we go. We'll just kind of, so let's do it. So goal 2, we edited a little bit, and kind of the same thing that we did last time with the strategy that we got from the public involvement. So from Montezuma OREC, mitigate impact of trail development on wildlife, foster local stewardship efforts, stewardship education, and management instead of restricting access. We don't need more trails. No OHV, ATV. High quality of trail construction. Work with community groups, nonprofits to maintain OREC infrastructure. From the Montelores session, do more to promote Leave No Trace. Flores County, how do we afford to maintain roads and provide search and rescue, clean up trash on county roads that lead to areas with no income? So that, you know, resource issues, trash, destruction of lands by off-road vehicles, dispersed camping impacts. You see a lot of that in any comments. Dispersed camping impacts is a common. Recreation timing, so when recreation happens and how that interacts with wildlife species. When is in terms of seasons, maybe even time of day. Too many trails are endangering habitat loss, overuse, different types of habitat, concerns about that. Growth of newcomers and tourists mean we need to teach conservation and impacts to them, especially in high use areas like Sand Canyon. So we do have some overlap that this is one. Can we just copy this one? Because you can have strategies that accomplish multiple goals. That's no problemo. That's good planning. Is it the same language, the same everything? Boom. We don't need to adapt that one or tweak it or recast it.
Yeah, again, I think these goals are very similar, 1 and 2 are very similar.
Yeah, I don't know, it's not a question of why not, it's why wouldn't your messaging be the same? Thing, simple and straightforward is your best shot.
Okay. So they're broken apart because some people care about the impacts of recreation on them, on me. Some people could care less about humans at all and are really mainly worried about the impacts on the habitat. So I thought we had that separated, but maybe at the end of the day, we can combine it. But I put it into two different categories just to give, to allow kind of both of those perspectives on it.
This is where the CPW tool comes in handy.
Yeah.
And in decision making, meaning that's the mapping overlay tool that, they've been working on to show areas of maybe of sensitivity, migration and birthing areas and, on and on. So in making sure that we incorporate that into not only our decisions on marketing and where we want to try to send people at what times of year, or where we want to try to build more infrastructure, anything like that. That tool, specifically addresses, lessening impacts on natural resources.
It gives you the tool to kind of manage that. I mean, it really is that. I mean, look at what Chafee did with that thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
It gives you some,
Their 2 pages are amazing.
yeah, it gave them the tools. The tools to the management goal, which was to take those maps and rethink your outdoor recreation plans in your region, being informed by those that habitat and resource mapping. It's a great strategy.
Okay, so I think that was kind of the strategy. So what I want to do is I want to say, I guess my question is the strategy about developing the tool or is it about using the tool?
Using.
I think that's an action item. Maybe a strategy could be use the best available science to minimize impacts to wildlife or resources. And then that can be one tool. Other tools that maybe the model can't capture is just using literature, other research that's been done out there, like impacts on recreation and trails on elk and deer, which is out there, or other impacts on other wildlife.
So I got use the best science
Use
and
that
information
science
to.
information to minimize impacts to, I was thinking of natural resources, but probably should put down.
Natural and heritage.
Yeah.
Natural culture.
resources.
Do we want to say, I mean, some people want to hear wildlife, but they don't know.
Put in parentheses.
Yeah,
Wildlife.
One of the
we
things,
need to specify who uses those tools.
well, that brings up a concern I have with data. I mean, we do have best science, we have best information, we have great information available, we've got white papers, we've got a lot of people who spend time like focusing on this. We haven't done, at least Forest Service hasn't done a good job of quantitating numbers on these trails. So, yeah, we know that mountain bikers or, OHV user, any user has some type of impact, but we haven't really quantified that scale of impact. So, and that's one of the, I think that's one of the data gaps that we haven't been able to provide CPW a good trail counts. Because that's gonna tell us a lot. It's also gonna tell us a lot about the social impacts. Bobby's busy on a Saturday morning, Bill's is really busy on a weekend, but you can go out to these places and still have solitude and feel lonely. So I think one of the action items we could bring to the table is getting better user data. And we've talked about how we get that from sort of the Strava or, again, for the cell phone data that we're having. But I think that would help us really, it would be data that would help support some of the other modeling that we're doing out there that we just don't have, right?
Yeah.
You'll be happy to know they're working on that at a state level too,
I was just gonna say, 'cause I think likely the statewide level, we're gonna be able to get access, so.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah. I mean, our counter data is interesting, but it's statistically poor.
Is this also where user education would come in? I can't remember if that was one of the strategies in goal one.
We
But,
carried it, I just copied it over here, cause I thought it would be.
but that's like, to me, well, I guess that protect heritage, we kinda like whoever brought up the leave no trace stuff and all of that, to me, that feels different than, you know, than the things we have listed for steward, even though it says stewardship marketing. To me, this all became supermarket.
it's really,
We have different actions under this version of the strategy.
Yeah.
True,
Yeah.
I got you there. And now, I don't know that this, I think that Tom's thing on data is a strategy. I think there's action steps that go under that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work involved there. That
Right.
goes directly into the goal, I think, is what I would say. But yeah, I agree. This is selective marketing, social media presence, like we strike that off of there. And have different actions that we're thinking about. Right?
I think education could be, or it should be its own component.
And maybe it's not stewardship marketing, it's stewardship education. But that's really what the focus of within goal two is. It's not marketing, it's education.
So we calve off education.
No, we keep education to get rid of marketing. We're trying to wise them up.
I got it.
There you go.
I got it.
We're gonna get them here for goal one, but we gotta wise them up with goal two.
Okay. Okay, so we've got 9 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
We leave at 4, or you guys will. Michelle and I can still keep going for hours, but, Michelle's like.
right.
So should we take a little bit more, does anybody have any more on this, or should we crack into that other, like another goal real quick here?
I would say if you're gonna talk about stewardship education, maybe just for note later to talk about, you know, stay the trail and education on different wildlife seasons and just different education on impact. Like that was a lot of feedback from the community in the last one of just like stay the trail, impacts on wildlife, you know, recreate during different wildlife seasons responsibly. Education on, hey, maybe you shouldn't go here because it's rut season, those kinds of things.
And this,
Also think it's important to add the fact that there's some seasonality with, our cattle.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Up there too. So we will see camping be reduced when cows are on, you know, depending on where they are. So I don't want to lose sight that cattle are playing a pretty important role to that landscape up there.
I've got a question. What's the relationship between reducing impacts and increasing capacity? Because if you're just making everybody take a jugular approach, aren't you just cramming more people into it? And is there a point at which you say, no more people, or is it just no more impacts?
Good question.
I think that's, I mean, in some ways, I want to just say like, that's something that we start working on. It's part of the reason to start collecting data. Is there a limit? I don't know, man. We gotta watch out what we say, but, cause you know, it is public, a lot of it's public lands, but.
I mean, we have our controls now, which are initiatives or our, strategies. And then over time, those strategies and the action steps underneath them based on what increase we see, we'll have to change. You know, and it's, you know, change is gonna happen. It's just a matter of it. When we have this in place, hopefully it offers us opportunities to see targeted hotspots that are getting out of hand. And then dealing with those accordingly. And I think the other thing, as far as the increase in visitation, the increase in use, is how you market the region. I mean, we've got the uncontrollables, which is the social media, the things that show up on Strava. People hear about Phillipsboro, first trail they wanna ride is ribcage. You know, it's from social media.
Too, I mean, not to go on about it, but like you could look just east of us a bit, Durango, and the way that they changed their approach to the use of their lodger's tax to step away from marketing. And I don't think that that's a stretch to think, you know, maybe that's us in 20 years. Maybe not, but it's not that sure.
Is this, so I've got Explore to soften it a little bit, because we don't really know, like, this is a new thing, right? Defining carrying capacity, we haven't really done that in Montgomery County. There's not a program we can point to where we did this, but I think we say
we limit how many people go on tours.
that's true. Oh, yeah. So they, at the national park level, they do this all the time. It's like every morning they think about this kind of stuff, limiting capacity. And we have the same,
more and more.
we have more
They say,
people
just
here.
look at arches, you better plan.
Oh, man.
Okay, that's cool.
Just with that, I would say that the Park Service, I don't know why you guys got to be way more strict than the rest of us. But you get to say no a lot more easily than the rest of us can, and the reason I'm saying that is to go along a little bit with capacity is we don't currently have the personnel to respond to what's happening right now. And I see that as a huge threat to near-term and long-term impacts that we can't currently respond to what's happening. So I don't know if there's a way to have that in here as a component of this goal, but
Capacity and
everything
financing.
that we're talking about requires bodies, well, that don't currently exist, not currently funded.
You have your own topic.
Okay, all right. Let me into capacity though, okay.
And then, hey, you know, that's the way, I'm the only one that would like recall that, because I wrote this stuff down, so, you know, like nobody else is gonna remember that I have a topic.
Isn't that another one of our topics? Topic 3 is capacity
Yeah.
workforce. So,
Okay, here's a question, we have 4 minutes. Should we try to crack into one of these other ones? And
Change
just
that
see how-
goal.
Or do you wanna wrap something up?
No, I think
Yeah.
let's
We have
dive
to
into it.
discuss when the next meeting is.
3 minutes,
Oh.
not much time.
Good point.
The next one that I have.
Yeah, that's
Right here.
putting that back up.
That-
January
The 21st of January.
21st.
Powder Day, probably. Sorry about that in advance.
All right.
Maybe got 5.
That's probably there.
I'm hired here. I'll do whatever.
And I'm thinking, okay, so meeting to January 21st. We need to talk about that, but I'm thinking we're gonna probably end up bringing in a 4th meeting, don't you think?
It sure seems like it. This is great, though. We're
Yeah.
doing good. We got through 2 goals, right? So this is, you know, it's slow going, but we're getting there. There's
So
no
now
other
that
way to do this.
We've agreed on the topics and the meetings. I will send out meeting invites for each one of those meetings over the next into May. With the topics and that way you'll have one.
Michelle, will that also have first monthly meeting?
Yeah, we're using one of our executive committee meetings as the same date.
Okay, we'll keep that, executive board happening through April or May, just like we know. We'll do it through May.
Forever. In perpetuity.
I'll just do it with you now. Do it all the way to-
And you'll get this to us, Gabe, after you clean it all and let's see where we.
Oh, sure, yeah, like I think, thanks for asking that. So I think what we'll do is, we're in an iterative cycle, right? So I've got to clean up all the input that we've got and like turn that into draft 2 for plans week. And that'll get turned around probably in the PowerPoint that you get, like, so we keep filling it out, and then you'll see the forthcoming blanks, and we'll just keep trying to we'll plan for more than we can get through.
Yeah.
We'll get through as much as we can, and then we'll just keep doing that all the way through. And then maybe by the end, we'll like finish our agenda.
Yeah, we may not have gotten as far as you hoping to do, but I thought we did, that's some good work.
I'm pleased. You allowed me to do this, so I wasn't sure. I never am, man. I never know what people are gonna do to me. I never know, so I'm pleased. It's never perfect, and this is really truly the only way that we can do this. Like, I mean, there are other ways. We could do breakout group, we could do all kinds of techniques and stuff.
And we talked about that, but, you know,
But
really
this
felt
stuff
like
has
this group
gotta
needs
come
to be
from
together.
Gotta come. Okay, that's all I've got. It's 4 o'clock.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, good job. Gabe, thanks for coming. Thanks, Gabe, Michelle.
Are you leaving right away?
Yeah.
And I didn't,